have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it! My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
It's time to buckle up for making sense of the madness.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here. Despite a ton of technical difficulties, my guest was actually on time, and it was my ass clownery / jackassery that put this one off. Kurt Metzger, aka Kerp, with us today. Thank you for being with us, sir.
That's what my friend Alex. This is my friend Alex Karp told me, is that you're jackassery. My buddy Peter Thiel and my other friend Alex Karp, and you're gonna learn a thing or two.
I mean,
talk that shit.
Karp's got a wacky haircut and a pink sweater, so obviously he is not dangerous in the least. And
Yeah.
Peter Thiel is a libertarian that is behind crypto and MAGA. So how dare you, Kurt,
You want to hear something worse about him that so I know people that know him. You know, Tim Dillon just had that on his podcast talking about being invited to go eat with these people. Now, I don't get invited. It's so funny. Jimmy goes, how come I don't get it? They don't ask me to go. And I'm like, well, they very graciously invited you to the Grove, and you told them that tasteless Nixon joke that they hadn't heard, which I find hysterical.
And
he goes,
and for those
Nixon
that
said,
don't
they
know
go,
what
"No."
he's discussing, it's in my film Invisible Empire, the actual tape. But he said it was the most goddamned effity thing you could ever imagine. But he would not be the only world leader that was there. I mean, you go back to even
Kid Rock as well.
Well,
right. That's right. A lot of respected figures have been there.
Well, Kid Rock talks about going. They had James O'Keefe there a couple years back to this dismay of one of his Project Veritas. You know, that's one of the things about O'Keefe. I like a lot of what he's done, but having dated somebody who actually worked for Project Veritas and then knowing other people that worked, I think that the quote-unquote slant that he was taken out because of his work was not correct. There's a lot of things behind the scene. Yeah.
Not the Pfizer thing at all.
No.
Oh.
To be quite honest, Kurt, Project Veritas right now, because they still exist, are sitting on a ton of stories and a ton of video that they could be putting out that would make the Pfizer stuff 10 to 100 times worse. A lot of this, the Facebook stuff, 10 to 100 times worse. You got to remember, we see tops of these conversations, what, about 10 to 15 minutes of the interaction? That's tops. Usually we're talking 2 to 5 minute clips. They're on multiple dates for hours all the time. And some of those stories that you see, first of all, some of them never come out. Others, you're talking about 2 to 4 months of curation of what they're going to put out and whether they're going to confront them after the fact. So I would just say, if anybody wants to dig a little deeper, maybe there was some inappropriate use of funds on some girlfriends' boobies and things of that nature that people didn't like. Other people have talked about, how he does those DJ / musical shows as a waste of time and money. If you haven't seen that,
Wait. Is that his Tim Pool's band of? Tim Pool had a band and he would make music videos.
Well, I've been at Tim Pool's house, and I remember when they were getting ready to put out that first music, because I was there January 4th before January 6th.
He said, "Don't do it."
I didn't say anything. Listen, Tim Pool likes to rock a bass guitar downstairs quite a lot. That's a different thing. No, you could actually watch. Forget about Tim Pool's music video music career. You could type in James O'Keefe, and he does like full dance numbers, like full plays. He has like these things. You haven't seen it?
Really?
Like he's in a like one of those like what are they, like riot jacket things, like giving him
Where's he from?
I don't know where he's from. I'll be honest. I'm not exactly sure. I remember his first thing. A lot of people don't remember his first thing.
The thing with the pimp.
You're going
It
to
was
say
funny.
the
He's
pimp
got all
line.
these
That's
people going
not
on
his first
dates,
thing. That's
and in the end, I guess he is a pimp.
I didn't say that either.
The irony of that.
Well, again, he wasn't. Listen, buying your girlfriend boobs isn't.
No. I mean, you have employees that go on dates on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Right? To
Yeah.
get you something.
No.
I mean, it's not the same exact thing, but like you're running a bunch of like a fake call girl service or something. I'm for catching these people, but until you said that, it hadn't occurred to me, what is he sitting on? Never even thought of that, dude. Because I know for a fact from doing those kind of prank shows, Sausage Show, and it's not. It's like, okay, I have to like make a moral decision here. Is how he would look at it. Like the boat guy, the yacht salesman. I mean, he was like, look, you could ruin his career or his marriage, but I'm not ruining both his career and his marriage. You know what I mean? Like it's stuff like that. Or like Mickey Rourke was cut out of it because it was insane. Mickey Rourke's thing was batshit, dude. It was something that, so of course he's going to be sitting on stuff. I never even thought of that. But you don't know the nature of the stuff. Is it like stuff that hurts, like, hurts a party? Is it like that kind of bullshit?
No, I mean, it's not just a party. I mean, it would hurt Pfizer a lot more. It would hurt a lot of the big pharma, and like I said, Facebook a lot more. I dated the girl that got that crazy Facebook video with that the CEO guy. O'Keefe actually, no, Kurt, he goes back before the pimp thing, so I'll show people this because this was way before Veritas. This is when he was really first doing it. They had done this thing where they got caught on phone lines, like they were posing as like Bell Atlantic or something, and up on the phone lines doing spy work all the way back in 2010. So look, the guys.
How old would he have been?
He was in his early 20s, 25. Yeah. So
in your early 20s, you're faking that you're with Bell Atlantic.
It was either Bell Atlantic. It was one of them. They were up on the phone lines, and he was going
wild
after.
To do that.
Yes. So this was part of that investigation with the pimp thing, but this is aside from him dressing up. They call themselves UCJs, undercover journalists. And I can kind of take you through the it's not like they just hire you. You go on team building, you make fake social media accounts, obviously, to catfish these people. You also have security with you at all times within the vicinity, whether outside or inside or both in the areas. It becomes quite an operation. So that's really, when you think about it, the way that
sounds like the production of Sasha's show.
Very much probably like that. And
that's wild.
You have to also understand, like, there's a board. So when he got taken out, that board also had financial interests. So they started investing. So it wasn't all of his. And it was only because of those misappropriation of funds. I don't know that it was the mishandling of the information. Who knows what those meetings were like. But basically, after the Acorn thing, he started getting millions and then tens of millions of dollars thrust in there. And look, there are a lot of people that came out of that have done great work since, or aside from great work, gained a lot of notoriety. I mean, I look at somebody like Laura Loomer. We follow each other on Twitter. I've never had any firsthand interaction or even interviewed her. But like,
well, you want Palantir in LA right now.
Palantir.
Yeah, Laura. Thank you. Good thinking, Laura.
Well, here's the deal. Palantir's not the only one that just moved to LA. That's another thing that people really need to, Bilderberg's a big thing in Sweden, and a lot of representatives are there, Kurt. But WorldCoin actually moved into California 3 months ago. And it's not, for those that don't know what WorldCoin is, that is the cryptocurrency that goes along with your phone. And remember the orb? They've now made...
Yeah, is that Altman? Is that Altman too? That
yes.
one?
But they've now made it hipper. It's not now just the Lochnar. They've made a device that looks like your cell phone. And now that they've gone to LA, they've set up these shops in LA, in Nashville. What's the other really hip city?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes.
Come get your face scanned by this orb, and or you'll get free crypto. Look, I watched Peter Thiel, that clip of him talking about the Antichrist from Revelation. So, and by the way, while he's talking about it, the guy doesn't know anything about the book of Revelation at all. It's very obvious within 3 seconds of him talking. He sounds like everything he ever heard about it came from a movie, or like it's just like a guy who doesn't know about it, what they think that it's about. And basically he was just giving a speech like how Condoleezza Rice had that thing of like, well, basically, here I'll sum her words up. Somebody has to rule the whole world. Do you want it to be Russia and China or us? That's how I took her speech. So it was basically Peter Thiel giving that exact thing, talking about Revelation, how someone with this tech could make the Antichrist real. Okay, so you need a good guy like him who's going to, because it's inevitable that someone's making this. Nothing can be done to any of these generational serial killer families that came up with this. They will always be in power. Obviously, we can do nothing about that. But you want him, and you know what? I'll bet if I stacked this creep up with the other creeps, maybe he's right, and he's a hair less creepy than them. But we're talking about a real bad scenario. I'd like a good scenario. I wouldn't like, if we're lucky, like you maybe will be a hair less evil than the other ones, and maybe just like less child eating, but we'll make up for it with child blowing up. Like it's like a real sandwich. We'll put it that way.
That's my problem with them. Is there's this facade that they're the better ones, but Thiel absolutely fell apart when he was asked about lavender. Okay, because he knows damn well. Well, yeah, you've seen that.
Wait. Well, let me tell you this thing with the Revelation. So I see Duncan Trussell. Duncan Trussell got invited to lunch with him. Duncan's like Forrest Gump of like he's some weird thing that you figure that you would know about or I would know about. He's being invited all the time. And I asked him why. He goes, "Oh, because I'm friends with Rogan." I'm like, okay, that's why. So him and a Christian friend, before he even got this Peter Thiel invite, like a long time ago, Peter Thiel was traveling around giving lectures on the book of Revelation. I go, what?
Well, let me stop you right there too, because you also have Rick Grenell out there, who I'm not a big fan of, who gets worshipped. Grenell is what's he, National Security Advisor or somewhere in there. He's been in the national security apparatus for a while. Now, Grenell, again, he's supposedly a Christian, but he's an open homosexual with his husband.
He's not a Christian. I'm not against homosexuals,
and
by
me
the way.
either. That's my point.
I don't care if you're gay. What are you talking about, Christian? Like, it's, all right, well, okay, sorry, God.
No, but that's my point.
Okay, well, you know he's not a Christian then.
Well, that's my point. Like, you have and they're involved in high-level warfare, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's the other thing. By
the way, I'm not a Christian because I'm not married and I have intercourse. So that means I'm as bad as a homosexual in the eyes of God. That's how that works. Just so people know. But I would consider a far worse crime being involved in the war machine on any level. This dude, Nathan Reynolds, look his crazy ass story up. What I really like about the guy, and I've spoken to him, he's anti-war. And he was a guy who was in real gross special access things to the point that he's a real Bible beaten born again. But he's the only one of these people I saw, for example, call out Israel. Nobody in that space does. Nobody in the Nephilim or alien space mentions that except him. He held up a book that was called Good News to All Creatures of the Earth. It was from the scripture. And it's about how it would be preached to everyone gets to hear the message. And it said, hope for mutants, something Nephilim. Somebody wrote a book about hope for whatever they're making in underground bases that you can preach to them, which is so like, first of all, it's hilarious on one level because, I mean, holy shit. But also, it's so Christian. It's so Christian. If you tell me you're a Christian, I'm going to judge you by if you act like a Christian. And what a Christian would do is try to preach the good news to whoever they could instead of kill them. That's what a Christian would do. And they would renounce the Luciferian system of America, which is what he does. Anybody who's like, oh yeah, military, and we're going to this in the military and white hats. There's no such thing as that. It's the military. There's no white hats there. Nothing about that. It's purely satanic. I'm sorry to tell everybody. The military is satanic. It's the Canaanite arts killing people. That's a fact. That if you want to believe in that lore, again, I don't call myself a Christian. I'm a Christian when I act like a Christian, and most of the time I do not. So I'm just telling you the rules of your thing, much like it's a genocide in Israel, because Nuremberg says so, not me. I'm not comfortable saying words like genocide. Mm-hmm. Their own rules say it.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, to me, and this is one of the reasons that I remain agnostic, right, is that, number one, and I always talk about this, I don't know what's going on 100 years ago, 40 years ago, let alone 1,000, 4,000. I don't speak the language. I wasn't a part of the culture. I wasn't there in the meetings when they decided which books were good and which ones weren't. I'm not at the top levels of all these religions. But if you go by the basics, like you said, I also have never been married. I've never even been engaged. I have had sex with women. I'm going to continue that behavior.
Remember God Hates F Slurs, the group whose name you can't say? That was their point in calling everybody the F slur. That's why they'd say soldiers are F slurs, because it was, and that guy who founded that group, the Westboro Baptist Church, you know what his history is? He's a civil rights lawyer. So they're really cool black people. He helped black people get their rights in that area. He was a massive civil rights crusader. He just is this one issue that he was really harping on a lot. But most people wouldn't know that. They'd be like, you'd assume it's some, no, it was very specific. And I always thought that group was hilarious because, first of all, it's not really Christian the way they went about it, I have to tell you. I would just question their aspect of the way are you trying to save people or just tell them they're revel in them being damned and you're not, And for
those that don't know, one of the things that they would do, and he's talking about the God hates F's people, they would go to the funerals of soldiers, regardless of how they died, etc., and they would protest with those type of things.
Right.
Yes. Go ahead.
But that kind of accusatory, just if you again, I'm not telling people about it, but I'm just in it. That's what Ha-Satan is, or Satan. Satan is the accuser, and so what they're doing was satanic themselves, because everybody here, if you believe in the Bible and all that, everybody here is enslaved, and they need to know that they don't have to live like this, and they don't know, and you have to forgive them. Christ forgives you. Right? The whole basis of it is like a debt forgiveness plan. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't buy into that Caesar's Messiah or any of that shit. Because I don't believe that that's a top-down movement at all. It rang false to me right when my friend was telling me about it. Because you watch these people in power who think they are Rome currently. Mm-hmm. And look at what they try to get going, and it doesn't get going. Because you can't astroturf that. I think that whatever Jesus, whoever, maybe there's 2 or 3 of them, how do I know? But whatever was a populist movement. And that's the only thing to me that explains how it could have taken off in that amount of time, is because the same way people are sick of the shit here and globalism and this and that, Rome was failing them and they were sick of it. And so populism really takes off in that environment. Okay. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Caesar's got those Persian, Zoroastrian, whatever the hell, the mystery religions like Mithraism. The military is all in Mithraism. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they're like Freemasonry. That's the Freemasonry of the time. Just like now, people in high up, they're in Freemasons, and it's like got similarities to Christianity supposedly, but when you look at it, it's like that seems odd to be a mystery religion. The whole point of it, true or not to me, is do I get to know what my beliefs are up front, or do I have to keep paying you to find out what I think? Right?
Well,
That's a big difference.
That's true, but at the same time, it doesn't even matter. As soon as a religion is taken up by the masses, you do kind of have this inner caste system, right? Like whether you're paying for it or not, like the guy with the crazy hat is always higher than the guy without the crazy hat, and
I blame the top for that more than the masses. See,
yes,
it doesn't become perverted really historically from what's in there currently in the Bible. It's that the perversion happens once the ruling class absorbs it. You know what I mean?
No, I do, but at the same time, while the ruling class is absorbing it, I'd also say this, you just mentioned Mithraism. In order to have that Christian movement to make it as big as it was, they also adopted so many of the pagan dates and customs. Obviously,
that's the ruling class after they take it over. So Constantine and his mom, and if you look into their conversion, it's complete bullshit. I mean, his mom pretends to find a holy relic somewhere. It's just a nonsense. And, the cross is not, I don't think Jesus even died on a cross. I think Jehovah's Witnesses might have had that one right. That's not, it's just like all the nonsense is being added once you have this thing where the government is fused with it. Because it's inherently against the kingdoms of the earth. Inherently. It's not like like it was maybe useful at the time to keep his kingdom from falling apart, Constantine, but if you notice, they want to get rid of it. They've been trying to get rid of it for a long, 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 long time because you're not supposed to join the military and go to war. Okay? So do you see how they like that's why I like Mormons. That's why I like a Freemason-based metaphorical overlay for Atlantis, which is what that Mormon story is about Nephi and Lehi and all that bullshit. That's Atlantis. Joseph Smith's a witch. Sorry to tell anybody who watches this. But it's like they're breeding the healthiest Kobe cattle. They got all these people, don't do drugs. They're very obedient. They're good for the FBI and the CIA. In fact, if you go, hey, you're going to do drugs, they'll do it because they're that obedient. The government likes the obedience of it. They don't like, and that's why people think Caesar's Messiah thing, it's like, because it teaches nonviolence, Christianity. They're like, it's teaching you to be weak and not throw your oppressor. No, it's teaching you to take it down the best possible way by not participating in that, and then not being afraid of them at all, and also I'm not doing that. So that's a problem because I need to go conquer everything. So I want a version of this that says what I say. Like the King James Bible. That's gay King James's version. You got the Schofield Bible, which is I see a lot of Christians are smartened up a lot about a lot of that at this point, which I am encouraged by. Because that's where you get all that Christian Zionist crap from. All the CBN, all the PSYOP Christianity is like country music or rap, all country music. I don't like country, but I like old country. Oh, before the CIA controlled country? Yeah, a lot of people say. You don't like mind control country? Oh, yeah. Hip hop, overnight, it's a joke. Like, it was like rappity rap, and then all of a sudden it's like I killed somebody, and it would crack overnight. And it's not organic. That's not organic. That's 100%, I believe, because it's the same trick that Smedley Butler wrote about over and over again. Everything's a racket, it turns out, besides war. That's why they make everything into a war. It's all one racket.
So let's talk a little bit about the rackets, because, like I said, right now, Bilderberg is meeting. They've put out their official data point list. What they're going to be talking about. So these are the topics this year that they're going to let us know about in 2 words or less. Transatlantic relationship. Ukraine.
Say again?
Here it is. Transatlantic relationship. So we're talking about basically
hilarious. Okay.
Yeah. Basically the European Anglo-American power structure that's meeting at this thing. Ukraine, U.S. economy, Europe, the Middle East, authoritarian axes. That's basically blaming your enemies for what you're doing, folks. Defense, innovation, and resilience. So Golden Dome away. AI, deterrence, and national security. So, of course, artificial intelligence is there. Proliferation, probably talking about weapon systems. Geopolitics of energy and critical minerals. In other words, the transition into their green movement. And then this is my favorite, depopulation and migration. They put those together. We've got the official participants list right here. For some reason, they love Stacey Abrams. She's been going consecutively now, I think since 2017. So she's
what in the hell?
I don't understand.
Stacey Abrams, that fat idiot goes to Bilderberg.
For the last 7 or 8 years. And she's not a steering member. I don't think she went until after she lost that big election in 2016. But they've made her a total sweetheart, man. Jen Stoltenberg just became a steering member. He'd been going the last several years. Borla, another one of these guys from Pfizer.
Another great man.
He's not on the steering committee, but he's been going probably since around the COVID 1984 nightmare. I think 2020 may have been his first year. Anna Applebaum of The Atlantic, a quote-unquote just a staff writer. She has been
I love her. She's the best. I know her. I know her work.
And she
goes to Bilderberg. You don't say.
For the last, I think 5 to 10 years, she's also been in the mix. I would assume Petraeus is there. Of course, Karp is there. Let's make sure.
Hold on one sec. I got to turn my AC up.
You got it. I don't know that David is on the list this year. Let's take a look. That is new. Well then, no David Petraeus. Come on. Am I crazy? I'm going to hit Control F. No. The only David we have is Wheel. Fareed Zakaria from the media. He is also there this year. He's
Fareed Zakaria.
Yeah, Zakaria's in and out. He's not there every year, but he's in and out. He's since the Obama administration, I'd say he's in and out.
I did a Larry Wilmore show with him.
Did you really?
Arguing about if a liberal arts education is worth it at the time.
Anytime, I don't think it's worth it. By the way, anybody like a communications
Fareed
degree.
Said, he goes, well, if you look at of outcome statistics of who got one and who didn't, I'm like, well, Fareed, they might have been cool to begin with, and that's why they could go jerk around on a liberal arts invest. They're probably going to be fine no matter what.
Yeah, let's start with their income, their family income before they enrolled in school. Compare before we even say that, because that's the people that can get away with liberal arts and never having a job. Good luck trying to do that if you're literally on the SNAP program as a kid. Get a liberal arts.
You come in, honest to God, I'm a jerk off with money, and I don't really have it. Like, I'm one of them new kind of people that don't own anything, and I've never been happier. But it's like this weird thing of I can't say I've ever for any real length of time income level felt like I always came out around the same where I came from as a base level, and I think my brain has just set it that from being raised in a certain level. Do you know what I mean? We were middle class, and I have never, and I broke many times. There's a mindset aspect to this that you get from wherever you came from.
Listen, man, I have problems. For me, I'm not the best with money, right? And I did not have any money growing up as a kid. I would also say that a lot of people within my family, unfortunately, have fallen into that victimhood, grifter type mentality. I'll never take a dime from the government, and I will always find a way to do it. That being said, when Loose Change was popular and I was making movies with Alex, I would say I got into upper middle class. Even these last couple years where this was a paid gig, no more paid gigs right now, Kurt. I'm on my own. But, I was making 6 figures again. And 6 figures, to me, that's like being a millionaire, but it goes away quick. It's great because I get to.
If you don't have kids, it is like being a millionaire.
Well, again, I help raise my nieces, so it's
okay.
You know what I mean. So volleyball, it costs me $5,000 a year, Kurt. That's and I pay for a lot of those things. So yeah, with the kids, it's not as much, but you live comfortably. I'm not worried about my bills. Now I am, but I do see what you mean. I've never before 9/11, I thought I was going to have this kind of predator mindset where everything was about money. I didn't care. I just wanted to do that. Then after I started to understand what was going on politically, things changed. I'd say you've been kind of lucky, not lucky, but you've worked hard, but you fell into an arena most people don't. That is very self-reliant.
I do better in bad economies in this job. When the economy was getting better, and that was, if you recall, the height of woke-tardness, formerly known as social justice warriors, but later called woke and now spread to people that think genocide is bad. Great work, James Lindsay. Great work. This is like a job, they say it in The Sopranos, like certain aspects of entertainment and our things are recession proof. Like when things are bad, then people want to laugh more, and so you don't have the luxury of like going to some guilty, some white guilt applauster festival. You don't have the luxury of that no more. And when these laptop liberal jobs go away from AGI, artificial Indians, they're gonna that you're gonna see them at the shows. All the formerly, I don't laugh at that. They're gonna be laughing all kind of shit. The gallows humor comes pretty quick when you don't have what you need.
Speaking of gallows humor, so if you just saw the pop up there, Kurt, for those that don't know, I wasn't able to use Google Meet today.
Should have watched your mouth about Alex Karp. He's been very upset about how people have been talking, and you've been a troublemaker for a while.
It's just very bizarre to me. I had G. Edward Griffin on for almost 2 hours. I was able to log in on my phone and start a meeting. I tried 3 different accounts on 2 different browsers. It didn't allow me to do it. Now we're on Zoom. I don't know when it's going to cut this meeting off, Kurt, because it just warned me. I would assume within the next 30 minutes. But I could spend $160 right now for an annual plan, okay, and to do the same thing that I've always done for free. Maybe we'll do it, guys. I don't know. Well, we'll see. With that, really quickly, that's a good time for a pitch. Can't do it without you. We got the Buy Me a Coffee link down below, $5, $10, $15. Big donors, please. Maybe you want to take care of that $160 bill, and I will jump on it right now and sign up, and maybe we'll have Kurt on for more than an hour. I have no idea how this is going to go.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, dude, that when I saw Peter, when he told me that about Peter Thiel doing the Revelation thing, but it becoming apparent very quickly to his Christian friend, this guy doesn't know anything about the book of Revelation. So Revelation was written about Rome originally. It wasn't even going to be in the Bible. Irenaeus, I want to say, some early church father had some political spat with another dipshit, and he lobbied to put it in. Bible's not one book; it's a library of books. Okay, and so they didn't put that in. Like that wasn't going to be in there. And then 666 is not the right number. It's 616 is the correct number of the beast, which is gematria. Which I don't know how. I don't think Christians are supposed to do that. So that's a little weird to have that in Revelation. There's just a lot of aspects of it that it's of its time, but because it's in steganography, like written in code, so you don't get killed for writing it. And it's basically the guy just saying this empire is going to collapse. And he's, and you can plug and play later and plug in who you want for the whore or the beast or the whatever. Okay. So that's why I dismissed it for quite a long time. What didn't occur to me for a long time until recently is these Revelation's not a prophecy. What if it's like a play, like Shakespeare, and you put it on annually like summer stock. I think they're going to make it. I think it's a script. So I've written scripts or things, and then when they filmed it and it like came true, I didn't go, "Oh, I'm a prophet." Do you see what I'm saying? Like they have an old classic script, like a Shakespeare thing, and you saw the "Do men think about Rome" meme? Why do men think about Rome every day? Well, because we are acting exactly like Rome. So if Revelation was written about Rome and now we are reenacting Rome, what do you think they're doing? This is a play, and now I understand why that alien bullshit and then the satanic ritual abuse have this weird overlap where it feels like I'm in a focus group and they're like, what ending do you like better? Do you like it that it's extraterrestrials or do you like it that it's they're Nephilim? Like Disney bought us from God and they're like workshopping an ending because they feel like they're losing the audience. That's how the feeling I've had. These people are intentionally trying to make this stuff happen. They're intentionally doing it. I doubt that all of them think they're going to have a battle with God or something. I think a lot of them just think they're the controllers. They're like the Abraxas people. And you're if you're religious, you worship one of the legs of God, but they're like with the guy, the chicken-headed thing. Like they think like they're putting it on. And I think they think they run everything. And you could, obviously they think that, but that's why Peter Thiel's doing that. He goes, no, there's people out there that are going to do this Antichrist thing, but you should have me do it because, I don't know. I'm pro-Israel. I don't know where he claims any moral superiority, but they're reenacting this on purpose. So it's not that, like I said, it's a play. It's a play, and they've probably reenacted it several times. Because back 1,000 years ago, they thought it had already happened. Holy Roman Empire, they thought Revelation had happened.
I would say this. I totally agree with you. This whole idea that there's that overlap between SRA and aliens and this lore. And, again, I always tell people I have no idea what's going on, right? I have no idea. I did a big panel on disclosure with James Corbett and was Corbett on that one? I think he might have been on the... Man, was he on that one? Maybe. I'm not sure. I think it might have been with the Union of the Unwanted, actually. He wasn't on that panel. But look, man, when you look at the overlap of all those things, like you said, whether it's a religious incantation or a new one, it's all twisted into this idea of supreme beings that are in contact with our elites, and they're our channel for them, and they're going to take control from it. And that
goes back a long way, that idea.
Yeah, and that's why, again, whether you're talking about the priests of the Mayan culture, right? Or you're talking about the modern day men in black that are up there that are supposedly contacting with the aliens. It's the same thing because they're feeding us a narrative through the media of the day.
Same themes over and over.
Over and over.
It's like, and so it's so that's what I look for mostly is themes and not being bored, as I always say. Like, if you bore me, then I feel like you're lying to me. If you lie to me and I'm not bored, then at least you entertain me, is how I look at it. So these themes blur together after you hear them over and over and over again. And you're like, what is this? And then you start to notice, why is this coming out right now? Like, why are all these specific kind of like Nephilim things on all over the algorithms if you follow any of that kind of crap? Or like Tartaria, why is that a thing? Or like Flat Earth suddenly burst back onto the scene like 10 years ago, which I think it's a Jesuit thing, myself. I think they're trying to, I don't know what, I think you create a bulwark of people who are going to believe something nonsensical no matter what. And it's like a bulwark against secular society in a way. Something like that. But I think it's a psyop. The Tartaria stupidity is some kind of Russian thing, I think. I don't know who puts it out there, but I was trying to find where it came from. It came from Russia.
Wait, are you talking about... Wait. When you say the Tartaria thing comes from Russia, for those that are unaware, this is one of those...
I call it.
Yeah, well, I certainly don't buy into it. I've seen a ton of it be debunked by the fact that, these pictures are from states fairs or world's fairs where they went all out, et cetera. As far as the technology being around for years, there is this idea that there was a mud flood, quote unquote, and all of this history gets wiped out and all of this ancient technology.
Yeah, I've heard this before. This is what I look for themes, as I said, because I'm a writer. So I'm like, what's your twist? It was a mud flood, and it's actually, I don't know, Mongols were this is like Mormon or something. It's the same goddamn story. There was this before, it gets wiped away, and then they put in a new thing, and all you've done is fiddled with the dates. I wouldn't even bother to debate anything about architecture or any other shit. I'm just like, what is this bringing to the table that I didn't have before? This theory. Flat Earth, what are you bringing to the table with that? Like, how will that affect my life? The only guy I've ever seen, because he believes it, is Flat Earth Dave, okay? And who I gave him that name, I like to say, because I did. It's not that creative of a name, but he has merch of it. Flat Earth Dave will tell you it's because of the SoulNet and the lizard people and all. He'll launch right into why. It doesn't really make any sense to me. I don't understand the motive for telling me the Earth is a different shape. Somebody might tell you it's like, because to make you not believe the Bible. Like, listen, I don't know why people think that God himself wrote the Bible, because that's what I was taught. But I don't think that God himself wrote the Bible. And saying all scripture is inspired, which is the scripture that says that, the word inspired does not mean handwritten note like Crowley and Iowas. That's not what that means. Okay? Inspired means like we have a lot of artistic license. What inspired means, if you ever seen a movie. What do you mean? It's based on true events? So there's already this like bad premise that every word of a thing that is like a bunch of books. Oh, what happened? Okay. My thing just, what the hell just happened? Wait.
What happened was we paid the fee, Kurt, and now we have unlimited minutes. So yes, folks, I have succumbed and bent the knee to the good people of Zoom while Kurt Metzger explains to you the mechanisms of religious control.
Look, I don't think people that, because all those Old Testament books were not written down until the Second Temple period, which is after Israel gets out of Babylon, because Babylon gets conquered by the Persians, okay? And so Cyrus is considered the first Messiah. Did you know that in Judaism?
Yes.
Because, the nation of Israel politically is like an Iranian project. And
I mean, we should get into that later after the esoteric stuff. I mean, it does look like they're ready to pop this off with Iran right as most people in the United States.
I heard something last night, too, from somebody who would know that something bad is about to probably happen. And I was like, what? And I'm not, and I'm like, but then, something with this.
They're talking about large-scale attacks inside Iran, and Iran finally just popping it and saying,
how are they going to go without America into Iran? They're not. So that means Americans are secretly going to go in, like how they did with the Ukraine fake thing, or like their stupid, it was Ukraine Pearl Harbored Russia. Are you batshit? Well, like, okay, first of all, you're saying like that was a great idea on Ukraine's part, and it wasn't, MI6 and certainly CIA and all the rest of the boys. But if you recall, Japan doing Pearl Harbor did not lead to good things for Japan, as I recall, unless I read a different history. I remember it made a larger entity more resolute to blow them the fuck up, which is what happened. So, brilliant, Ukraine. You've really done it. So meanwhile, that cokehead up there's doing that, and I don't think he can ever stop, like a Bernie Madoff scam.
What did you think about the other guys coking up on the train and everybody ignoring it?
Obviously coke. You could see it in the picture. The more detailed one, here's the high definition, was somehow less definition. Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe it. It was like when Joe Rogan was green in the picture, and they go, no, our experts said there was no alteration. Are your experts?
Watch.
Do they have eyes?
I mean,
read the debunking. I'll bring it up to Joe if he doesn't believe me.
Well, I saw the debunking on the napkins and all these other things. I watched the dude with the spoon eyeball that spoon 3 times before he went down and immediately grabbed it.
Yeah, you know how you just have a cocktail straw for no reason at a table with no cocktails on it?
And again, it had the little bend in the top. It didn't look. It looked like, again, not even the straw. But then you saw the way that Macron palms the other object.
If you've ever done blow or any drugs, okay, especially that one, that's one where you have bad eyesight and you get eagle-eye vision. Is that Coke? Is that a spoon? And the trick, like MacGyvering up a Coke spoon real quick on your fun trip with Macron and just 3 gay guys out without the wives, without the beards, having a good time.
I mean, again,
some sweet Ukrainian callboy action. That's why I think Macron got hit when she hits his face. Because I'm going to tell you, because I used to date an older chick. Now, she wasn't secretly a man. This one I was with. She was actually a woman. But
all I'm saying is I haven't validated that. It doesn't look good. But continue, Kurt.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, the alternative story is it was a woman teacher that raped a student, and now they rule France. Very, very odd. But when the thing of pushing his head and he's got that stupid face, that's like cokehead face of getting caught after you said you wouldn't do it anymore, and your chick's mad at you because you said you were going to do coke. She found your coke. That's what that looked like to me.
I mean, again, for those again that haven't seen that video, the way Macron gets his face grabbed and pushed and realizes he's
mushed, like Patrice's joke about mushing.
When he turns his head,
like a ghetto thing to abuse a chick, where you mush her face.
When he turns his head and sees the camera,
it makes his whoops-a-daisy coke face. Yeah,
not a good look. And look,
yeah.
I'm just going to say this.
Yeah. Addicts understand the second they look at it what they're looking at. The only people who could be, it's like the people that, I see people saying after Elon tweeted Trump's in the Epstein files, which, like, by the way, we know he is. It doesn't mean he did something bad, but he's definitely in them because Epstein knew him. So he didn't say what Trump's in there for, but be like, oh,
and by the way, you're 100%
ketamine.
correct. Like the files that are out, he's in. I've already talked about this.
So Elon said nothing, but they go, oh, was he on ketamine? Oh, is that what ketamine does? Makes you rage tweet? Ketamine, the prescription tranquilizer. drug virgin nerds call horse tranquilizer like it's ivermectin. No, it's a tranquilizer that all animals use, and you get prescribed for PTSD, such as the trauma of you thought your dumb Doge thing was real, but actually it was fake the whole time, and now they're going to make it like it's all your fault. Because that's what I read with Elon and his black eye. I know everybody thought Elon's secretly in charge, but I think you're dumb if you thought that. I don't think he's in charge of his own company, frankly.
Any of his companies. He's not in charge of any of them.
I think he's a monarch program, and I'm going to tell you why. When Matt Taibbi, when I first suspected in the back of my head about it, and I can't verify it 100%, but Matt Taibbi would talk about after the Twitter files that Elon, it was like talking to he was like two different people, right? And, you know, people say that about people all the time, but I bet you he really is. I bet you he really is. Maybe even more. Because his dad's an emerald mine gangster from South Africa. And if you ever read him talking about his dad, it ain't good. His dad's also got the nice Michael Aquino devil eyebrow look. And like,
it's a good look, by the way. It's one of my favorite looks. Hey, I'm going to comb my eyebrows up like that one day.
So, like I said, in this pyramid, the perpetrators are victims as well. That's how the pyramid works. And a bunch of these people are... I was just watching a thing about Asia Argento after, what's his name committed super slide. Are you allowed to say it on here? Anthony Bourdain committed super slide.
Oh, the Anthony... Listen, the Bourdain one was really interesting. First of all, the chick he was dating, the Argentino chick, you know about that, right? Like,
okay, yeah, so Rogan knew him, and he used to do ADR when I was doing that cartoon Ugly Americans. I would see him come out from doing ADR in the same studio.
Sure.
I can't remember what it's called. It's on 23rd. But the details of that, if you look at him with the kind of eyes I got now from looking at all this Monarch crap, that Giallo shit that her dad made, that horror, Italian horror, and I just saw Sonia Polton or something, a British lady. She'll be on Sean Atwood a lot, but she brought this up. I just watched a clip of it. It was very interesting. The one movie Asia Argento's in, they're straight up showing MK Ultra stuff, even though it's an occult witch movie. Mm-hmm. They're showing the shock treatment to make you forget. Mm-hmm. And they're showing and it's like, I saw a movie Don't Blink with that, what's her name directed? Lenny Kravitz's daughter directed. You see that one?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Or Blink Twice, or Don't Blink. Blink Twice.
Blink Twice, yeah, I haven't seen it.
Oh, dude. I wrote to the author of it. It was a gay guy that wrote, because there's no way she wrote it. But that guy, I'm like, he must look at what I look at. He hasn't got back to me, but his Instagram might not seen it. Yeah. But I'm like, dude, you know about Monarch? Because he put in, and it's funny watching people put in aspects of it. I would say watch it, because the ending is appalling. The ending is, I'm going to spoil it because of Blink Twice. Yeah, I'm going to spoil it because this is, I think, horrific. So the main black chick who puts it together that they're getting, reprogrammed with like some form of devil's breath plant, and she instead of like, so what does she do? Expose the whole thing? No, she takes over the operation, and now she controls the guy. Now she Stepford husbands him with this drug, and it's cool because she's going to be rich and do the MK shit now, and she's a black woman, so I guess that's good. That's the fucking ending. It's repulsive.
Well, I mean, I wonder.
Well-directed movie and good research on the guy. I mean, he even has the line is, the worse what you do is, the harder it is for them to remember. Mm-hmm. There's a line in there like that. Like, I was watching, I was like, holy crap, somebody knows something. And if you know anything about Zoe Kravitz, her mom, lives off somewhere and doesn't let any other kids in showbiz or around showbiz or anything like that, because a bunch of these people that are famous were put through that 100%. Stuff like, the animatronic Disney rise with the people that are robots. A lot of these actors, they would take them and they'd have to stand there all day pretending to be a fucking robot. And the guy, J.R. Sweet, the Mormon kid who he wrote, now he's older than me, I think, but he wrote a book about it. MormonMonarch.org. Read his account. Mm-hmm. It explains how the Mormons are in this one. Everybody likes to talk about the Jews. How about the Mormons, dude? How about the fucking Mormons? How about the fucking Catholics?
Well, even with the Mormons, Derek Bros, he's a part of the Independent Media Alliance. It's now been years since he did a report on this, but there was a SRA case.
In Utah, the one where the guy got ahead. Oh, dude, so the Dirt with Curbs coming out soon. my new podcast, and I'm gonna Jasmine Noor, Noor, has a very good video because she has all the media clips from it, where this DA comes out and says, "Yeah, there's these charges floating around that I'm a satanic cannibal, and I just want to," like he wants to get ahead of it. No one was saying that about him, which is, I mean, it's when you have to see it. You can't just hear me tell you about it. You got to see this guy talk, and it makes your jaw drop. And if you know anything about Mormons and what goes on in there. And in fact, Vem Miller, you know Vem Miller?
Yeah.
So the cop that was trying to stitch him up as a Trump shooter, he's from Utah, and he's got a connection. I can't remember the town he's from, but they have the most CPS taking your kids away of any other city, which is very suspicious. But the creepiest part of that Utah one you brought up is this DA was.
There's a lot of creepy things about it. I mean, you're talking about this, Texas Chainsaw Massacre type stuff that was in those documents.
He goes, but you see the thing where he was calling these natives and he goes, "Give me one of your kids." Like, it's not adoption, number one. It's very clear. The feds are saying this is procurement. And he's offering to let them trade bison meat, a lucrative contract to sell bison meat to Ukraine if they give him one of the kids. And he goes, "I know more about your native teaching." So here's the occult part. He's telling them he knows more about their native shit than they do, meaning he's going to do occult shit with this kid. That's what the fuck that means, by the way, when he says that. But Ukraine, so he's got this nobody fucking DA who's getting ahead of satanic cannibal charges. That's real. He really did that. They passed an SRA law in Utah over this, which I thought was debunked from the Satanic Panic. No, because this guy was so suspicious. What Ukraine connections does he have to set something like that up? That sounds an awful lot like the deal that Gerald Ford gave Kathy O'Brien's father, who was a pedophile that sent child porn to the U.S. mail. And then Ford came to pick her up, because Jerry Ford was a creep of the highest order. And they go, "Look, you can go to prison, or we can give you a great lucrative government deal, which is better than money, right? Because it's a license to make money. And then you become rich." And a lot of these kids that were in this program have these stories of their parent made them a Molech sacrifice. Molech might be the name of the sacrifice, not the god, by the way. Even though some people think it's a god.
Yeah,
Molech,
I always tell people the owl in Bohemian Grove is not Molech, and that's a big misnomer.
No, it is not Molech.
It's not Molech. I know.
No.
Have
you ever heard this? Somebody told me the owl. I thought it was something different, the owl, but somebody told me it's Care.
Well, so there's the cremation
Care.
of Care. They don't necessarily call that Care because they also have a thing called dull Care. It is compared to Minerva a lot in there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But it is literally referred to our deity, the owl. And, George Bromley is the one that brought that over from Eastern mysticism after his trip out to China. But before we get too far away from this SRA case, because people need to understand that it wasn't just the DA, it was one of the council members or county officers. And he and his wife, before any kind of charges or whatever, after they lost the election, because the sheriff, I think, loses the election, and this guy loses the election because the sheriff is an elected position, he leaves the country from Utah, and him and his wife bought a Scottish castle. A castle in Scotland, because city commissioners or whatever, even they have castle money. So these people have. Oh,
it wasn't just money. Like a little 1-inch plot of land like Jeremy from the Quartering sells.
They put up on a website the castle that they were going to refurbish, or it was ridiculous. And as far as I know, they never served any time. There were never any charges. They're not in the country anymore. And
my God, I didn't know that. Yeah, well, by the way, to get a Scottish castle, that has a lot of significance to me off the bat, because those kind of creeps, I don't know if you know the summoning languages that they use in their dipshit. God, magic is so gay, dude. GEH when I say gay. It's gay. Pictish, that's a summoning language. Russ Dizdar had a whole thing about it in his books. Russ Dizdar, very interesting guy. He was helping people who were being trafficked in Amish country. Because it turns out this weird Sabadian Frankist style generational incest cult thing is in a lot of religions, and Amish definitely. In fact, Amish have their own occult people. They're called Hexenmeisters. So when you see weird symbols on barns and shit out there, that's their magic. They're not just like everything from Germany. I don't know why it's got to have some deep, bizarre Dungeons and Dragons background to it. I don't get it. But anyway, Scottish Castle. That's like summoning language. The significance of that to me, what that means is they're like Pictish Twilight language people, and so you go to those old castles and that shit. That's why Aquino went to the Wavelsburg. And you try to get possessed. Dude, it's crazy. It sounds like crazy nonsense. And I really couldn't tell you how much is psychological and how much is real. But the effect is the same regardless. If you believe you were possessed by a demon that makes you eat a baby or something, and you're not, but it's the same difference. The result is a baby got eaten.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were just showing right there. This is the Utah County Attorney David Levitt. That owns a castle in Scotland. And I believe he's the one on the video that you're talking about.
When he talks about there's ways to program kids, and he's saying it like it's like funny. He's saying it like, I know the ways to do it if I wanted to. That's how he comes off. It's so creepy. And he's saying things I've seen described by a lot of people. And I don't just mean MK Monarch stuff. I mean, Big J's ex-wife is a lawyer. They defend some rotten pedo that got caught, and this guy had he was like delusional. Like he thought, because they don't understand my culture. The stuff they caught him with, which I'm not going to get too deep into because you're going to not want me to. The kind of things he was describing were so gross and so much like what that Levitt fucker was saying. So don't tell me these people act alone in all this. They trade notes. They trade. Those videos go around. This is the number one destination of sex tourism, America, not Thailand or the other countries. America. We got probably about 300,000 missing undocumented children here that I don't think they've been found, have they?
No. And
yeah, so this is number one destination. It's the calls coming from inside the house. America. I'll say something. Oh, so America bad? Yeah, I would say satanic. I'd say worse than that.
Since we're talking, high-level pedophilia, obviously we have not talked about the Kash Patel, Bongino tour.
Harold and Kumar, that's what Keaton called him when he filmed for Jimmy. And what a couple of jerk-offs. I admit, I want to say, because I always trash them, but thank you for being so obvious. And it's hard for me to convince people, but when you see that jerk-off's face while he says he's obvious, while he reframes the conversation, totally. I don't give a shit if Epstein killed himself, asshole, and you know that. Like, I didn't want justice for Jeffrey, Cash. I want to know why those people are still working that went to his island, and a lot of them still are. And if Trump isn't in that file, as Elon suggested, why are you holding it back? Just for Israel's sake?
Well, I'll tell you, Tim Dillon actually did a pretty good video on it, where I agree with a lot of what he's saying. But let's roll back to what Kash Patel is saying about the suicide, right? Because now they're on this tour where it says Jeffrey Epstein absolutely committed suicide. You're always
may not even be dead.
I tend to think he's dead only because of
why would they save him? See, I think why wouldn't you just kill him?
Well, I think they tried to
unless
kill him
he had a dead
time.
switch.
I don't think dead man switch either. I think they tried to kill him the first time with Nicholas Tartaglione. They failed. And then they killed him the second time.
What's that with Nicholas Tartaglione?
So Nicholas Tartaglione was the now convicted quadruple murderer police officer that was a heavy juice head. I mean, he wasn't as big when he was in Cellmates with Epstein.
Oh, the guy that you thought they made it like he probably strangled him. I saw the pictures.
Again, those pictures are from when he's really juiced up. But for those that don't know, Tartaglione and his brother, by the way, were New York City cops. And I actually, discussed it with a New York City cop that knew them, and I'm just going to say, yeah, he got caught for murdering 4 people in a drug deal where he had no remorse of capping them in the back of the head and putting them on a farm. Probably not the only crimes he committed during his time as an NYPD.
Well, that's a real executioner style like that is an experienced hand. That's just bottom line. So when you get that cold, we go out and dig a hole and you could do that China style execution. That means you've done that before. That's how I would take that.
Again, so somebody that obviously is not afraid to do criminal activity and knows he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison, you don't get off for quadruple murder. So after that first thing, Epstein's lawyer came out and said he didn't try to commit suicide and that Tartiglione tried to strangle him. Okay. So now you get to the second part. And now that Kash Patel is saying things, like you said, he's changing the topic. I worked in
You don't think I would tell you?
He goes, I worked here and I worked there and I know how it works.
You told me it's corrupt, Cash. You said you worked here and there and they hide shit and you're going to make a museum of all their lies. Remember, like, I know you worked there. That's why I bought even though absolute moronic shit he said about his love for Israel out of nowhere. Okay. The other stuff he said, I remember covering this with Jimmy. We play the tape and he's talking about what he's going to do. I'm like, all right, sounds good. And then he goes, and Jimmy's like, I like some stuff, it is some stuff. And the other one, he goes, people need to wake up and start supporting Israel. Start? What are you talking about? So he said that then. So I had some suspicion because I don't know if you know this, Epstein may be connected to Israel. So I wondered if his two passions in life might clash with each other. And then Bongino, hey, any hobbies, anything you're passionate about? Israel, the defense of Israel.
So,
thank you.
Even without that, and when Patel is talking about the situations that you put yourself in, and he even expanded upon it on Rogan, to be able to kill yourself, okay? The cold, hard facts of MCC are there was not a suicide there for 13 years. Okay?
Oh, my goodness.
So let's stop.
What a day for the cameras to break.
So let's stop with this bullshit that somehow because you work in law enforcement, you magically know it's a suicide in a place not only there hasn't been a suicide for 13 years, but they kept El Chapo. They kept El Chapo there, a guy who had been broken out of 2 penitentiaries. Yeah. And was about as high level.
That's a great point. That's a great point that I did not know they kept out, or I knew, but I didn't even think about it. That's a great point.
So ridiculous. Yeah. And then on top of it, all right, we haven't had a suicide since. And they had to change the leadership. So now we're talking about almost a 20-year span where one person has killed themselves at this penitentiary. And we don't have video of it. We have guards that were asleep and prosecuted, and then the charges dropped.
Cash has video, he says, that's going to be coming out.
They have, and I watched that talk back too. They have.
I know they don't.
They have videos supposedly of a hallway showing nobody anywhere. You know how easy it is to doctor video at this point, or just put something on a loop? They should maybe doctor it, have something better than that, because that, you really, it does. Well, I'm just saying, if you did have somebody,
case closed.
All I'm saying is, if you did have somebody go past that area, I'm not even saying you'd have to, but let's say you did. You know how easy it would be to just make it look like on a time code by running the same video that was 5 frames earlier over and over and over again for the 10 minutes or whatever that it took. It'd be very simple. I mean, that you could teach somebody who's never used a computer before or Adobe Premiere how to do that in about 10 minutes.
And it doesn't take as long as they're taking with this amazing evidence that you better buckle up for. It's actually, dude, Ryan Long's had a great sketch on.
I saw you posted. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, he's an editor. He just wants to get it perfect before it goes out, and he just can't decide on filters and shit. He wants to rotoscope a spider out of the back frame, and then he wants to put it back in.
I love Ryan and Danny. I think that they do some of the best stuff out there, and they have for years. It's hard for me to believe, but I was on Danny's show now 2 years ago. I mean, these things are wild. You know what? That we're going to take a total left turn here, because I know you haven't seen it yet, because they just posted it last week. But TMZ, a couple years back, did a documentary on United 23 on 9/11.
Is that the fake hero plane where they made up that they try to say it, or is that the one that Cheney shot?
Neither.
Oh.
So it's in my film, Fabled Enemies, but on 9/11, and this is the information that's in Fabled Enemies, and this is why I'm going to get to why the TMZ report is so important. So you had another plane on 9/11 that was super empty. Again, Tuesday morning flights, folks, the fact that these 4 planes were at way less than 50% capacity each, totally crazy. Well, there was a 5th plane that was at less than 50% capacity. And it's on the runway while all this is taking place. And, before I even knew about the pilot and the crew and the identities of what these people looked like, I did know that they had been suspicious that there were a group of men in first class that were trying to hijack the plane. And that after the fact, they found luggage that matched the luggage that didn't make Flight 11's connector with the Korans, the auto luggage. So now they find that luggage there. Then they find weapons on a neighboring plane. What people don't know is on 9/11, they actually found weapons, and it's not just box cutters, guys. They found weapons on a bunch of other planes that day.
I feel like I remember something about this vaguely about other weapons, but I don't remember where it went.
So it went in and out of the media, but they were planted on the planes. In fact, the plane next to United 23 on the runway we find out in this documentary, happens to be one of those places that they find these weapons. Now, from my movie, all I knew is that supposedly they never found these guys because they used false identification. Now, if they used false identification, then how come the other hijackers didn't use false identification and we had a passport survive a plane crash into the tower? Just food for thought. So now the documentary comes out. This is 20 plus years later. They start telling the story, and these women are like, one of the people was a man dressed in a burqa. Okay, that's odd. They also had a small child with them. Okay, so now the hijackers have a small child, and they have another hijacker that is dressed as a woman. All right? Gets a little weirder than that.
It sounds a little Mossadi at this point. Go ahead.
Wait till you hear this, Kurt, because this is where it gets
as soon as you said the guy dressed like a chick, I'm like, I bet that's a Mossad. Okay.
Well, you know what? I had comments when I mentioned that too. What's very odd is they went through a whole dog and pony show after the fact. So in other words, they got off, but all the stewardesses and the pilot, one of the stewardesses wouldn't even go on camera. They were given a lineup of people. So they detained people. None of the people they were shown in the lineup were the people. So they've got away scot-free. We've never heard about it. Gets better. So when the plane is on the runway and it's already been evacuated, they see people in the plane that have access to the plane on the runway in the windows. They see at least two people in the plane. Then when they're questioned by the FBI, they ask them if they left the hatch on the walkway of the plane that goes down into the electrical open, because it was open when they got on there. So there are two possibilities here, Kurt. The pilot believes that the two people were sent onto the tarmac up through the plane to go get the weapons off the plane. Okay. Possibility. There's also a possibility that they were there the whole time at the electrical equipment as the real way to hijack the plane electronically, despite what was going on above ground.
That controls. We had that guy pilot who was telling. So the control system they installed after 9/11 so that it could never happen again because they can remote control.
They already had Global Hawk technology before that.
It had been patented, but it's Israeli technology, by the way. Yes. It had been patented like
Dov Zakheim and the crew. I know all about it. Yes.
Well, all these details are fascinating, but here's something that now I think about all the time, because back in the day, I didn't even know Building 7. There was a third building. If you said Building 7 to me, I'd be like, shut up. Like, I wouldn't even thought of. I asked Mark Norman. I saw him in the mothership. He didn't know there was a third building called Building 7. I'd heard of Building 7. Never. This is how easy it is to control everybody with trauma. Never even thought about why 3 buildings went down. Didn't know there were 3. Didn't want to know. Wasn't going to look. I knew we were going to blow up some people with, we'll be not racist and say they have hats, but we know sheets when we see them. That's how everybody felt of every race. We were all united. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. So now looking back, why the fuck did Osama bin Laden attack America? That makes no fun. Israel's right there. They're attacking us because of Israel? What? Like strategically? Well, no, because we back them. Okay, how would all that does is make us more resolute in helping Israel, though. So why would you want to do that? Oh, because Israel created Al Qaeda along with us in Pakistan and probably the Saudis, right? Takes a village.
Well, let me say this also about the weapons. And, you talked about Mossad. There was a lot of talk about Daniel Llewellyn on Flight 11 and his connection to Mossad. And one of the things about Flight 11 that, again, people don't know about, because I don't think any mainstream media has ever covered this because they haven't covered the documents themselves. But a hacker group called the Dark Overlord in 2018, right in January of 2018, I think it was January 1st they did it. They had 5 layers of TSCI documents, top secret security clearance documents, on 9/11. And they ransomed Bitcoin. And they got some money. And they got the 2 tiers, but not the 3rd tier. But then they released the 3rd tier anyway. So the 4th tier and 5th tier never got released. And then within the year, a bunch of the Dark Overlord hackers got arrested, by the way. Just want to let everybody know that. In those documents, one of the things, and there were a lot of things in there, but one of the things that really caught my eye is they said that there were gunshots and someone shot on Flight 11. And I think his name was like Eric Blair, the person that had actually taken the call on the shooting. He was named, and I've never seen his name anywhere in those documents. Wasn't in 9/11 Commission report. Haven't seen it in any FBI reports. We just talked about United 23, and clearly the FBI, there's no reports on that. We know that the government had E-4B planes on the scene of 9/11, on the scene of not only the Pentagon, but before before the second plane strike at New York, another one of the E-4Bs is on camera. None of that is in the official reports. So if we're not even getting the baseline of what we can see with our own eyes,
right,
what do you think is behind the veil? And here's the thing. I don't think that they're going to spell it out that this agency did that.
They will never. Okay. And this goes for UFOs, and it goes for Epstein, and it goes for JFK. They will never, ever, ever disclose that because they can't disclose it. Because the truth is so absolutely repulsive and horrible that the regular chump cattle of this country that salute the flag and go to endless wars are not, they will rip, everyone will come and rip them limb from limb with their bare hands. Gaddafi will look like he had a nice, peaceful death. If any regular people find out the shit these people have been up to for the last God knows how long, it's that bad. Now, here's the good news. You could just find it. You just find it. All these people rat him out all the time. All you got to do is just hear a bunch of stuff out. Did you hear Jason Bermas out? People didn't want to hear Jason Bermas out back in the day. And I remember vividly people didn't want to hear you out. And wouldn't you know it, when I do hear you out, you know what's going on. So all you have to do is recognize the mind control that makes you go, I don't want to hear that. Why don't you want to hear that? And I dude, friends of mine, because I'm so relentless with people with it, because it'd be one thing if people I just want to do my job and keep my head down like a fucking cow that I am. And I respect that. You said it to me, at least. You're not faking that you have passions about things.
Sure. Yeah.
But invariably, they're going to spout whatever the pablum is of the moment at me and their opinion. After they just got done telling me they don't know anything and don't want to know anything, they're going to say something stupid and wrong at me. And so that's why I'm compulsive. I'm like, can I just tell you what the thing is now, and then I don't have to hear you later?
Well, let's talk about
that's not really righteous on my part or anything, but that's how I am, and I will keep going until because if someone tries to act like they have the facts on their side with this shit, I just will not let go. And then they realize they didn't really research their thing, and they give up and they go, I just want to keep. They're smart. They go, look, I just want to keep my head down and do my job. I go, thank you for saying it, and then I won't say nothing to them about it ever again. I just want to hear it come out of your punk mouth. Some of my best friends in the world that I love deeply. Say it with your punk mouth, punk. I want to hear you say it, because when the shit hits the fan, I don't want to hear your outrage later. I just don't want to hear it.
Well, let me say this. I'm in a place about one of my really good friends. He's in New York, so we don't spend really any time. I see him once or twice a year now, right? But his social media posts have been, they went from, I remember when I first met him, he was my employee at Cooperstown Dreams Park doing video editing, and he knew who I was. And he's like, hey, man, I've seen your movies, really good, really cool stuff. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that he's politically wrong all the time, but he's also a musician. and he's constantly in the scene with the non-binary crowd of chicks that doesn't shave their armpits, and he just got his
So he's got to
first.
say stupid shit to get skateboard pussy. Is that what you're about to tell me?
I see it all over the place. Just like the brave. Listen, if you want to be anti-Trump about things like Palantir, about things like Doge was Johnny nonsense.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons to be mad, and
There's
you're not going to
plenty.
get to know what they are because you're too goddamn stupid because you listen to a chick with problem hair.
And I like chicks with problem hair and problem tattoos.
I
They're
know,
fun.
everybody does. You think you can fix them with your dick, and you know what? I have.
I don't know that I've ever fixed anybody, Kurt, but again,
I fix them pretty good.
it's so frustrating.
I got them to stop pretending they're bisexual. Come on, that's fixed.
I mean, yeah, I've dated plenty of lesbian. Well, we'll just leave it there.
Because girls that hang out in them circles, I know exactly what you're talking about. And girls that hang out in them circles, they always got a friend that's like married to a woman now that's like, oh, I miss dick, but they have to say it secretly. Because, again, they were like, well, why? How come people are so upset about gay men? But like, that Howard Stern stupid, like, I love lit. Because like they're not doing anything.
Let's move a little away from this.
Oh, I like saying it over and over. It makes me laugh so much.
Well, I wanted to get to like
Their marriages work out the least. Gay men, most successful statistic marriage, 80% success. Straight, 50-50. Lesbians, 30% don't divorce.
I think women are. I shouldn't even say it like this, but I just think women in
It's got a relationship with two women in it. How's that going to work? Come on.
Well, I'm just saying women in relationships. I haven't been able to master that key. Is all I'm saying. And
Well, the key is to not. Okay, here's what the key is: to have some amount of self-esteem. And I wouldn't. And I only stumbled into this, but like my girl is fucking great. And and I was like, I don't get any. We never fight, which is very strange for me as an Italian person. She goes, oh, well, I don't really try to compete with you as on a male level ever because she likes being a girl. And then I realized most of these fights are someone who's like not secure in whatever their own thing is. And they're like, oh, I should maybe do your part or whatever. And by the way, I don't have, Sunni Muslim ideas about the woman's role in the home, any of that horse shit. When my girl started cooking and cleaning and shit, I thought she was going to kill me. I thought she was like, what is the angle here? Because I lived in New York and LA where chicks don't know how to do shit except run their dumb yap. They don't have any skills. And not that I have so many skills, but it just is shocking when you get to the rest of the country, you realize, oh, there's all kinds of people that are not transhuman, whatever the fuck, city polluted morons, smugnerant imbeciles, which is what New York is filled with. It's filled with confident know-nothings. The only thing that I would say could be worse is like when I would talk to people from Chicago back in the day. But now that I see how bad New York is out from outside of it, maybe it wasn't all Chicago.
No,
Maybe
Chicago's not as bad. I was just in New York.
Well, the Windy City is called Windy City because they're fucking windbags. I thought it was about the wind this whole time. I found out it's because they like to run their yap. And during the great grape joke war, comedy wars of 2009 through 11, I had a bunch of dim bulb open mic Chicago comics run their mouth at me on my podcast. I invited them and talk to me with like this arrogance of like, I've heard of them. Do you know what I mean? Like this before I understood that you never deign to allow a loser on your thing like that. I thought you just talk with people. You can't.
No,
you can't do that.
So Kurt, let me just expand upon this. I found there are two main places, but kind of four overall in the United States where people legitimately think they are just better than you. and like you said, the kind of that arrogance that if you're not from the area, you are a lesser. So
Connecticut, yeah, I played there.
Well,
that's how it is.
Connecticut is where, like, I was going to say New York, Long Island, but you also have the people that don't go to Long Island go to that rich part of Connecticut over the water too. You could say that's all one area. There's one right there. You have that L.A., California vibe also. Those are the two main ones I found. But like you just said, Chicago and Miami are the other places where it's like Chicago's like that Midwestern big city, know-it-all kind of attitude, like the New York, LA thing. And then the Miami thing is like, I've made it. I can afford it here. I'm so much better than you. I'm dating a girl 30
Well,
years younger.
you got to pretend you're not doing that in LA more. I felt like I was too harsh of just not even just talking to people from living on top of people. You know, we all live on top of each other in New York. I was there for 20 years. So it's like getting out of prison. So, you know, it's like I'm Wes Watson to them, talking to them, that prison guy that was like, we're going to do push-ups. If you come to prison, you stick with your rate. Remember that guy, Wes Watson, that would give like coaching, alpha coaching out of prison?
Yes, I know who you're talking about. You talk about the fights.
Too much intensity, like a guy that was in the joint.
Yeah.
Is how they take it. I was not in the joint. I was just but like a willingness for confrontation for minor things where you don't, like I don't pick my battles, as they say, with like whatever right now that I don't like, I'm going to tell you. Like I don't, and these are people that do that. They're like, well, I'll just tolerate this nonsense here. Anyway, Austin, the homeless problem here, because they're too passive around this block, is unbelievable.
No,
and
it's
these
bad.
Are like,
I haven't been there in
these are-
years, but
yeah.
under the bridge by 6th Street, at the end of 6th
That's
Street.
why I live by there.
Oh my God.
I don't live under the bridge. I live.
Oh, you
I
don't?
live
You're not a
far.
troll? You know?
No, I'm a house troll now. I don't know what.
Wait, if you live over there, have you gone to Casino El Camino for a burger yet? Right on that end? It's like right. You need to go there for that. I mean, that
Okay.
buffalo burger, I have dreams about it to this day.
Oh, I will go try it. I don't think I've had it. Casino El Camino.
That
My
I
girl
think that
won't
might
eat
be.
red meat, so she only likes chicken. I mean, doesn't stop me from getting it, but it's not like
I was gonna say
date
it
trip.
seems like a Kurt Metzger kind of vibe.
All right.
Metzger, let's talk a little bit about these LA riots, because that's kind of where I was going with my friend and kind of the post that you're seeing. For me, you know, I'm not left or right. And to me, I think that, yes, some of this stuff is obviously funded, contrived. I don't think we're on the brink of a civil war. I don't think that's even in the cards. I think that if you are looking to get organic protesters, California, Los Angeles County, that's the place to do it. I would say if you're going to do it in other states, like in
We
Texas.
have them here, a small version of them here.
Yes.
Look, if you're outside marching because you're mad that ICE is taking illegal immigrants out, not immigrants, illegal immigrants, so you don't, well, most of them are non-criminals. No, you broke the law right by getting here. What are you talking about? If that's your worry while there's literally the new Holocaust happening right now in Gaza, really go fuck yourself. Fuck your feelings. Fuck you. You're a punk ass liberal that because you don't have the balls to say something about what they're doing. And again, I was calling it ethnic cleansing. I want to say genocide, Jason. I would say a mealy mouth thing like ethnic cleansing. Those are semantics. It's gotten beyond the pale now. And this is where you see the true color. You know how you don't believe in left or right? Well, you know what? Neither do none of these people, even if they say they do. They don't believe in none of it. What they believe in is like this boutique lifestyle. And so I want to do something, but I don't want to tackle that Israel thing. That's complicated. And then someone might say I'm bad and I might get kicked out of my thing. So you're a punk if you're advocating. It's just like, shut the fuck up. That's your word. And you know what the worst part is? You're right. They don't need to pay for the whole thing. There's enough of these losers left over that really thought Kamala was going to win that are willing on their own to go out, just like BLM. There's a whole bunch of people that went out that weren't going to see through it. Just the same difference. And it's very easy to marshal them. And what they're going to do, if you are a dumb shit liberal that's upset that they're deporting illegal immigrant,
Well, hold on. Let's stop it right there.
keep in mind the guy with the motorcycle and the Mexican flag. Now Trump and Palantir and all the right-wing things are going to happen extra, you dumb fucks. Why would you make this your battle? Because you don't have the balls to talk about the other shit. That's why.
Well, let's talk. All right. So there's so many things there. Number one, let's talk about immigration. You don't have a country if you don't have borders and rules and everybody can just come over and quote unquote become a citizen. That's number one. I understand people's frustration that maybe some of the soft targets are being taken out as opposed to all the hard targets. But once again, you're never, I had this discussion with Mike Ryan out of Australia. You're never even going to be able to deport 10% of the illegal immigrants in this. There's just not enough manpower. I'd say there's probably about 30 to 40 million illegals in this country, high concentrations in California, New York, sure, but throughout the country.
And they're never going to go to the businesses and crack down because that will screw up their economies that are based on illegals, correct?
I would say even if you did that logistically, you still can't get 10%, right? You're talking 3 to 4 million people in this administration's time span. I'd be impressed if they could do that. And that's 10%. So now you got 90% that are in there. I'd say there's probably about 10% of illegals that, to me, if we were really going to do this legitimately, could qualify to be American citizens. In other words,
sure,
take the test that they give everybody.
Right.
They've been paying taxes for a certain amount of years. They own property here.
Yeah,
whatever.
of course.
Yes. Now you got 80 other %. Anybody that is convicted of a crime here, goodbye. Anybody that's convicted of a felony level offense in another country, goodbye. These are
and also send them to the correct country. I would like to advocate for that. Maybe not to the spare Guantanamo. Bukele, I kind of didn't trust him. Then I watched him, and people I know from El Salvador like him. Okay, this is last year. So I'm like, oh, maybe he's really doing it. And then I see this thing, and I go, oh, so it's not working out. He's propping it up with money by taking people and sticking them in that MS-13 jail. And because I didn't care that he took MS-13. I'm like, look, I don't want the wrong guy ever getting grabbed,
Yeah.
But luckily, these guys tattooed MS-13 on their fucking faces. If they ever figure out not to do that, we're screwed. But guess what? Of course, it can't just be that simple. That guy he's getting extra money. Those people they sent to the wrong spot, he's getting extra money for that. It's probably propping up the failed promises that he's doing in El Salvador to extend there's no escaping it, dude.
And for me, again, like you said, with Trump and this immigration issue, one of the things I've spoken out against is the idea to use Guantanamo Bay for any type of facility for illegals. I was for the Alcatraz reopening before Trump even mentioned it. And then you had a bunch of people saying, oh, we can't do it because of the sewage system. You can fix the sewage system. You can fix they were basically complaining.
You want something outside the law that you can put people in to not have to deal with the pesky appearance of maintaining law, which is at Alcatraz, you would have to kind of.
Yes.
And they don't want that. It's why Israel doesn't have a constitution. See, they can't be held by their citizens to anything.
Well, with the Israeli situation, and I don't know. Oh, there you go. You unfroze. Oh, and now you're in higher definition. Look at that, Metzger. Wow. Nice. Yeah. Wow. Things are coming up Millhouse.
What a treat for your viewers.
Everything's coming up Millhouse.
So I don't think that this can expand into a true civil war. However, I do think if you do have the wrong type of event where a protester is killed, did you see that video of the police officer shooting the journalist in the leg point blank with a plastic bullet?
No.
Let's play that.
I do got to buy one of them plastic bullet guns though, because I don't want to actually shoot anybody here. The cops said buy a gun because there's a Soros town where they took the police out.
Well, they're less lethal, Kurt. Now I'm just gonna. I saw people saying good because they didn't like this reporter or the Australian.
What did they
press.
do it to you, stupid? Did everybody forget January 6th? Did you already forget what the fucking pigs did on January 6th? Framing you
again?
No, they're not gonna, dude. I said this to the dumb shit wokies. Do you think they're not gonna do this shit to you that you're advocating? You fuckwit. No, well, I forgot. I'm a cow. Moo.
I just say this: number one, you don't target people that are unarmed. You don't target the press, whether you like them or not. And when quote unquote law enforcement is doing that, they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law because we don't want them as law enforcement. But here it is. I'm going to let you decide, Kurt.
I bet they're following orders.
Watch this.
After hours of standing off, this situation has now rapidly deteriorated. The LAPD moving in on horseback, firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA. Shut the fuck up!
Okay. First of all, I had your point of view till I heard her accent, and I got to tell you, 5 seconds of her talking, and I was like, there's probably a lot of Australian chicks that would get shot with a plastic bullet if people just had those on them.
I mean, again,
I'm here. Oh,
Kurt.
Give that man a raise.
Look at this guy, guys. He's joking. Look at this. This guy takes full aim and nails her. point blank. Here it is. Look at him. He pointed right at her.
Oh God, it's just you got to turn the sound down on her voice to make sure, because you are correct what you're saying. But it's like I'm just telling you what's inside me when I hear her talking. Mm-hmm. Something about an Australian sounding righteous. I want to shoot them with plastic, less than lethal ammunition, and hear the Australian noise they make. No.
You ever been to Australia? I know you've traveled. Have you been to Australia yet? I want to go. Have you been there?
This dude Amos, he pronounces it. Amos. He's a comic. I'm forgetting his last name. Really funny dude. James McCann is a killer comedian that lives down here. He's from Australia. When I start Dope with Kirk, I'm going to do, he's going to explain how Catholic orders work to me, because he has the knowledge of the guy from Confederacy of Dunces. Like, he's a real lore nerd, this James McCann, but real smart, funny guy. He had one of the best COVID jokes I ever heard during the pandemic. And it took me a while because I knew him from here, but Jimmy played this joke. See, some Australian had this great joke, and you probably find it on Jimmy Dore Show channel. But it was one of the best jokes about the lockdown that nobody said anything as like eloquent or funny about, James McCann. So all kinds of people from Australia I like, but there's just something about, if you ever watch on Sky News clips come in my algorithm sometimes. I don't know. I'm under 60, so I don't know why, but they'll have this one segment where it's called, and they featured me and Dunnigan's Joe Biden show on it. So hey, shout out to them. But the lady goes, "Lefty's losing it," like this segment, and I can't take her voice while she says, "Lefty's losing it." I can't take it. She's probably a nice lady, fan of the work I've done, but I can't take it.
I don't mind a European or Aussie accent. I'm kind of all for it.
I don't mind unless I have to take you seriously, and then I mind. Do you know what I mean? But when I say mind, I don't mean like I wish anything. I don't wish lethal ammunition on you. Mm-hmm. I wish less than lethal for you.
I mean, they
just
say
to fix your voice.
They say not less than lethal. They say less lethal, because every once in a while they do kill somebody.
Yeah, I don't know how you could just say less. That's kind of an either or thing.
Yeah, it is, because it is an either or thing.
Pretty sure it's a duality to that.
Yeah, it's called less lethal because it kills less than a real bullet. Still kills you. Listen, I remember my boy Luke being out. I think it was out in France, and his buddy got hit in the eye and that was it for that eyeball. On camera. Yeah. No bueno. So, yeah, that is not... I'm not looking to be permanently injured, disfigured. I'm also not looking to get shot by the police officer. I don't know that you have a choice when you're unarmed with a cameraman and you're a blonde woman, and you couldn't be more evident that you're not a protester.
I mean, I thought I was looking at, like, something from Gaza or something.
Oh,
that's like...
Well, again, they'll shoot you there.
The IDF does train those guys, though, don't they? That's IDF training that cop had. I bet you anything that they've had IDF training.
Well, IDF unfortunately does do a lot of privatized training for police officers and sheriff's departments throughout the country. That's not... I wish that wasn't real, but it is actually very, very real. We talked a little bit about the Middle Eastern aspects of the war. We joked about Zelensky and the coke habit. What are your thoughts right now with Russia, Ukraine? I mean, they tried to kill Putin. And most people in the United States don't even know that they tried to kill his ass.
And they probably would say, oh, good. And if you say that, they're like, that's just Putin Hasbara. They say propaganda, but I call it Putin Hasbara myself because I like the word Hasbara. But, yeah, dude, they want World War III to happen no matter what. Look, even if you want the Star Trek future, which is, I think a lot of like liberal nerds think that's going to be, that's why they want there to be no borders. And yeah, no, I know. Eventually we're going to be one Bono world. They don't even think of it in Alex Jones conspiracy terms. They think, isn't the goal that we'll all be one planet and Star Trek? But if you know the lore of Star Trek, written by a Navy, probably Intel guy, first what has to happen is the eugenics wars and a terrible World War III. Then start, after humanity almost gets wiped out and reduced to more manageable spacefaring numbers, I guess. You can see it all laid out in the script. That sweet Gene Rod. And by the way, you should look into the Star Child thing from
Stargate. You talking about The Stargate Project?
No. Okay. It was on a message board about Jessica Simpson in like 2008 or 9. Some celebrity kid who went by the name Starchild was talking about all the evil stuff. This is pre-QAnon, any of that shit. Okay?
Okay.
I never even heard of it. My friend Andy Hunt over at Control All History, who has great, like all the history that Hustler magazine covered, which it turns out was quite a lot. I always joke, like, do you have a big collection of Hustlers or something? So there's so many scandals. The Epstein thing has happened before. Reagan, right when Reagan got in, Alfred Bloomingdale, it was his Epstein. And the girl with the tape of either Reagan's getting pegged with a strap on by her or Reagan's blowing the strap on. But she got beat to death with a baseball bat, and her roommate hypnotized into confessing. It couldn't be more obvious what happened with that. But this is 1980. And if there was internet back then, they wouldn't have got away with it. They would never have gotten away with it. He's got just Control All History that's got all these great stuff about that. And you see this repeating pattern that these events have been happening over and over and over again. And they're kind of the same thing, and they play out the same way. And everybody just moves on and forgets.
Well, with the Reagan era child trafficking thing and the Franklin scandal, a lot of that gets into the quote unquote SRA that eventually gets debunked, right? And
yes.
For instance, the
False Memory Syndrome Foundation, founded by the Temple of Satan, by the way, like how Scientology bought Narcanon. Well, guess what the Temple of Satan did? They bought the false memories. But when BLM times came, all of a sudden generational trauma was a scientific concept out of nowhere. It had been debunked. 2011, look it up. There's no such thing as generational trauma. Blah, blah, blah. As soon as BLM made it useful to have that, now you'll hear generational trauma. That's all Monarch. The Monarch butterfly transfers information to the next generation. They learned that people who are generationally abused dissociate more. People go, "Oh, I left my body. It was so cringe." For 20 years in TV, I've heard chicks say this in an office. "Oh my God, I left my body." Like someone said a thing awkward. And I bet they did, dude. I bet they did. I bet because they're good breeding. All these industries, you've got to come from a good family. Like now, the Hollywood shit, somebody like me who's not from shit really, I wasn't poor or something, but I thought I was like middle class until I met these people when I got there and realized I'm like Jersey Shore trash, basically.
If you're lucky. If you're lucky, you're Jersey Shore trash. I mean, those people.
If I'm lucky,
yeah.
And I'm not. I'm not even that good, actually.
Well, I'm just saying, like, when you're talking about that level of trust fund kid that literally can go out every single night, have a $200 booze tab, spend another $200 on their meals and transportation for the day, and it's not even a thought or a drop in the bucket.
They're just low rent Persians, but I don't tell them that. They don't like it. They're just Guido. Look, there's just two kinds of people: Guido people and not, and like gingers. And anyway, that dissociation, and that's what the ketamine's for all these people. Because I don't know if you ever did ketamine, but I have. It's like the sunken place from Get Out.
I did ketamine one time, and coincidentally, freshman in college, lesbian girlfriend. Halloween. Nice.
Was it before or after you dated her?
No, I was with her. That's why it was at the night. I think it's the first night that we actually fooled around and hooked up because it was
okay.
It was, and that's the only reason I did ketamine is because I went back.
Fair enough.
To her dorm, and she had ketamine to snort. Like that little inside baseball of a 18-year-old Jason Bermas. Everybody. And like you talk about, and by the way, I've done some drugs in my day. I'm mostly a pot smoker, but sure, I've done a bunch. I remember looking into a mirror, and I ended up puking on it. Like I wasn't drunk enough to puke, but I remember after the ketamine, something really didn't settle well. Of like staring into an evil void, like looking at myself, not liking what I was seeing, not liking how I was feeling. It was not a pleasant experience at all. I'm just
really.
Ketamine?
Well, I've had good ketamine.
Oh,
I don't very good artisanal hippie ketamine, and I got to tell you, because they were giving it out for trauma, and like I don't know, I had a breakup or something around. I had never tried it till I was like 42 or something, but because it was around, somebody had it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll try it. It was getting popular around this time, so it was like I'm 48, so it was 6 years ago, 7 years ago. that's when you're hearing, and my friends be like, oh, they're developing an inhaling device for ketamine for, trauma people and whatever. And I was like, is it called the straw? No, it's an atomizer. It's like an atomizer you can use to do it like better. It's the same thing Kathy O'Brien said George H.W. and the boys had when they'd party. With the best cocaine, they had an atomizer device. She said their technology is always 40, 60 years ahead of us, which you've heard that all over the place because it is. It's when it's cheap, that's when you get to have the tech. So laptops, somebody had laptops in the 70s. You're not going to have them until it's cheap to make one for you. Okay? That's just how it works. It's not a conspiracy. So, but she describes those devices. And I look out in people's stories for devices that are around now that they talked about 30 years ago. And it's pretty creepy. I used to tell computers doing this stuff they were talking about that was about to come out. Now they're talking about 30 years later. And I'm like, I thought that was a thing that was done. Why didn't that come out? Like the mental controlled mouse. That was a thing they're talking about in 98. That was Salesforce. They got this thing where you can move it with your mind, the cursor. Mm-hmm. You already know the brain chip from Elon's company. That's came out in 1970. Mm-hmm. Didn't work too good. Screwed the guy up. He had to put aluminum foil around his head to block out the microwaves. That's where we get tinfoil hat from. Leonard Kyle, the guy that they
I need to look at that Leonard Kyle story because I remember the last time that you were on, we had that big discussion. And I mean, look, that really goes back to the whole Elon Musk isn't running these companies thing.
Of course not.
From
most of these people are not. And remember the Jasons? You've heard of that?
Yes,
the Jason
for those that don't know, the Jason Group is not an acronym for anything. This is actually the top level scientists in that ARPA to DARPA kind of transition range where they actually got the name from Jason and the Argonauts.
Right.
And the biblical story. And it's funny because Bushnell, that chief scientist of NASA, there's videos of him heading up the Jason scientists talking about things like cold fusion and I think lenticular technologies, very vague. It's kind of weird that they even let like that tape of him like coaching these guys out there, but it's out there. And the Jason scientists, they remain today, and they
Here's a big aspect of them that Nathan Reynolds clued me into that I didn't think about. A big part of that, remember the movie Twins with Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito?
Sure.
And remember the smartest men all, I guess, jizzed in a tube and they, whatever the backstory of how they were made. Yeah. Remember they go through that, these scientists? It's a cute 90s comedy, right? But it's very Nazi eugenicist, isn't it? All these smarty pants people are all like, we should breed. Just like those Nazi camps, it's just eugenics, transgenic, they're all the same thing. And so all the captains of industry and shit, they're as kids in controlling positions in these companies, okay? And not just through Jason, this is just the way of all of this.
Brother, the Wu-Tang Clan talks about it.
Yeah, remember Susan from YouTube?
No.
Susan Wojcik that died of turbo
cancer?
Yeah.
She was in that little kiddie group that she was part of that.
Stanford marshmallow experiment.
Yes, the marshmallow.
She won. She was the Charlie of the chocolate factory of the Stanford marshmallow. And if you recall, and it was like, I saw this a million times, footage. It was all cute little kids. They want to eat the marshmallow, but they don't. And they go, kids who could forestall gratification had better outcome. So they make it like those are smarter kids. No, they're not. They're more obedient. Maybe you're a real smart kid, but you've already been screwed over in life, and you know that you can't trust adults, so you better eat the marshmallow. You don't know what's in the kid's head or what's going on, but what was in Susan's head was nothing except following orders. Her shitbag mother wrote a book about raising her and her sister, the Ghislaine Maxwell friend, who ran 23andMe.
Yeah,
I know. The Mormons. Kanye's mom wrote a book about raising. If your parents write a book about the great job they did raising you, your parents are fucking psychopaths. And I would investigate them for being in some kind of weird occult shit as well, personally.
And they might not have been the greatest parents. Metzger.
I would say they're not.
I would probably tend to say that. Metzger, what do you got going on? Obviously, you're doing the Jimmy Dore thing.
Okay, Derp with Curbs coming out very shortly. I got Sam Tripoli's guy and Danny Polachek. That dude hit me up, and he's real smart.
I love Danny. He's great.
He's helped me put my thing together.
Excellent. Well, I can't wait. We got to have you on again soon. We always talk about it.
I got to have you on mine, dude. As soon as I have it up and running, I'll come on mine.
Can't wait. And listen,
I
Bilderberg.
got you and Richard Grove. That's going to be in a row.
Oh, Richard was in the chat, actually, I believe, while we were doing this. I love Richard.
I got Rabbi Grove. I got my Rabbi Richard Grove coming in.
He's your rabbi. Listen.
Rabbi Grove will be there.
Bilderberg is this weekend. Please go check it out. And listen, if Jimmy's going to cover it, you should get Charlie Skelton on. Okay, he hasn't put it out yet.
You write it down because I won't remember.
Yeah. Charlie Skelton has been doing mainstream reporting on them now almost 15 years from the Guardian.
Did you write that book?
He doesn't have a book, but he will be the first and only mainstream journalist to have an insightful piece on Bilderberg, probably within the next 24 hours. I'm going to DM it to you. Probably not a better person because he's on the ground in Sweden right now with a handful of others to interview on that topic, and it is the topic.
I'll hook Jimmy up. Oh, yeah. One last thing I want to point out. You know that Bob Lazar Element 115 stuff?
Yeah.
That it's not a big deal that he predicted it was going to be Element 115 because everybody that knows the table knew that we have 14 but not 15. So
sure.
I'm not saying that. However, Moscovium, I just heard this recently. Moscovium, which is Element 115, the unstable that Russia made and announced, okay? And I'm sure they would tell us the truth if it was stable or not and wouldn't hide if it was stable. They made that with a particle collider.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, dude, that's where they said that they changed.
How much metamaterial do you think you could get out of CERN or any of the other 30,000 particle colliders that are in every mountain in America? Nathan Reynolds, again, Christian cuckoo guy, right? He's the one that was telling me about what those, because everybody talks about portals and shit. And I'm like,
brother,
is that what it is?
That's what they just said. Changed lead to gold. Okay, so that
alchemy. That's exactly right. Nathan said that, and he had me dark journalist. I started watching because Nathan told me. Mm-hmm. Okay, and Nathan's story is way the fuck out there, dude. But when you listen to him talk, the guy is real smart, and he met Edward Teller. All this evil shit is because Edward Teller, that Dr. Strangelove motherfucker?
Well, I had Teller. I did a Teller watch along for the Star Wars program from SDI in '89. So I just did that video. Like,
I bet Nathan watches your show too. But anyway, he told me that, and then he gives you a little. He has a bunch of threads I got from him to pull, and they checked out a lot of them, and especially the metamaterials thing. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I heard that a particle collider made Element 115, I go, oh, that's what that bismuth shit. That what's her name? The UFO lady. She goes, it's a bismuth and something mixture, 1 micron thick that you can't make in you can make it with a particle. Little Linda Moulton Howe.
Okay. Somebody
handed her a chunk of some crap from a particle collider and told her it's a UFO. They can make these materials. Okay. CERN has a military budget and it has like a Vatican status for some reason. What do you think they can make with materials? All the helium-3 you heard about? Nathan said neptunium. He said that maglev train that you've heard about, the fabled, what China's going to build one above ground, by the way, and let you ride on it, compared to here, the free country, where it's underground for the last 30 years. Neptunium. For some reason, running a current through neptunium does something. If anybody out there knows about neptunium or understands it, I don't. But I do know the particle collider thing checked out in a big way, and I didn't realize it until very recently. So that's where the Element 115 comes from. All of our particle colliders. That's why they need those. It's not just to find smaller particles.
I don't think they're looking for the God particle. I think, again, they're doing something like you said with transmutation.
They wouldn't keep naming these things like they name. Dude, the thing that geoengineers is called Satan. That's their word. Stratospheric, aerosol.
Stratospheric, atmospheric, thermospheric.
That's not a silly mistake that happens over and over, that you just keep making. Like, oh, now everyone's going crazy because we did something deliberately crazy, provocative in the naming, and now we're going to taunt them like they're bad because they don't trust us. What, you don't want Satan to geoengineer the earth? Stupid Chris. Like, this what they say about Satanists. Like, they're atheists, but they're just provoking. Why are they doing that?
Yeah.
Also, I remember thinking I might be an atheist back in the day, and I never put on a gay-ass outfit and worshipped a goat head. I just lived my life. I didn't put on a stupid fucking theater costume like a dipshit.
Yeah.
So what are you talking? No, they believe in something. They're just not telling you because you're a rube. They're a carnival religion. Mm-hmm. That's what that fucking fucker was, right? LeVay, the keyboards at the carnival. So it's a thing for rubes. It's actually quite satanic. And also, why are they doing magic at all then if they don't believe in it? It's all fucking jerk off lies. They big farmed these techniques. They big farmed it. They don't. I doubt most of the people care about if there's a Satan or whatever. They want to know how I control people, and these are ancient methods, and they work, and they work real well. And I remember you told me trauma-based mind control. The first guy said those words to me, I believe, was you, not Richard Grove, as I mistakenly thought. And then I went on a whole thing looking this shit up, and it was crazy what I found. And the picture starts coming together. So I don't know if there's aliens or not, but those ships, all them things are ours, okay? Extra dimensional, whatever. It's all nonsense terms. These terms mean nothing, okay? I'm sure that they have some kind of deal where we're like a Raj of something. I'm sure that's the case. I know America's the land of the plumed serpent, okay? Right? Amaru.
I mean, even it's not even the eagle, right? It's the phoenix. It's the war machine.
Well, the plume. Okay, Amaru, the plume serpent, and I think it's from Peru. I want to say, or they say it's like a drag. Theirs has like 7 heads, but this plume serpent motif. I was watching that dude Gary Wayne. He pointed out something interesting. You know, dinosaurs have feathers and shit.
Yeah, of course they do.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing. So Amerigo Vespucci, another thing Nathan Reynolds told me, they didn't take America's name from him. He changed his name to that to honor that. And so Nathan Reynolds claims one of his relatives, they were treasure hunters like fucking Joseph Smith. You know, they're a big name family, Reynolds Rap and all that shit. They found, not at a serpent mound, but at one of these mounds. Remember the Utah guy you're talking about who's trying to get kids, the Levitt? Dude, I think, this is kind of crazy sounding, but I think, the white man comes and takes away the land from I think these old warlock, creepy ass motherfuckers that came over here made deals with the gods that the Indians had, and those gods betrayed the Indians and worked with the white man because the sense of ownership these people have over these weird, sick, serpent-based Brotherhood of the Snake was the cult his family, Reynolds' dad, was from.
Okay.
His mom was from, her father was a Knights of Columbus, Lake Havasu, where the London Bridge is.
Okay.
You know, London Bridge, they walled up kids in it a lot, and that's what the nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
Which I didn't believe. I was like, that can't be real. No, it's real. Called denurement.
Yeah.
And they brought it over because it's so negatively charged, and they believe that's like magic shit to people. People that are into that, they want charged items. Okay? All this gay Harry Potter shit, dude.
Well, let me just say this. You said snake. Book and Snake is one of the competing fraternities.
Brotherhood of the Snake, I said.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying that Book and Snake is another Yale fraternity. Skull and Bones. Yeah, so there's Scroll and Key. There's Book and Snake.
It's Hogwarts. Dude, I had a joke that my nightmare is you go in the underground base, and we're going to show you the secret thing. And they go, this is Professor Bimbleborf of the Hornswoggle University. Turns out Harry Potter shit is real. And that's pretty much what the secret is.
Yeah, no, so like I was saying,
Christ.
There it is. They got their own Wikipedia page. Book and Snake is the Yale Society. And like I said, Scroll and Key is another one. So just those names, I
think that these names where it's like an either or aliens or demons or what, I think our names for things are horseshit, and they're not descriptive of what things are, and they're a form of control and compartmentalization. So that way you can only think about things within a certain framework without looking at them objectively as if you were going to draw them. You want to look at things like if you're trying to paint them, right? Like just see the lines and don't let your mind prescribe it. And unfortunately, there's no vocabulary. So saying like extra dimensional is like a stupid, meaningless thing. I don't think we even know what a fucking dimension is, really. I don't think we know what anything is. The words are going to fail on it. But you have to look for the themes. That's where you can find the shit to compare and maybe piece it together. All right, I'm out of here, brother. I'll see you soon.
All right, and look at that. I paid for Zoom, and now all of a sudden my Google Meet is working. It's a great day. Metzger, thank you so much. We'll do it again soon, brother. All right.
Man. Bye.
Later on. So there he is, Kurt Metzger. Folks, I thought it was a banger of an episode despite all of the technical difficulties. One more time, I need you now more than ever. I do want to thank Big Hair Tsunami. Apparently, I've been upgraded to Zoom. Isn't that great? $5, $10, $15 on the links below. My dog is groaning at me. You know the drill. It is not about left or right. It is always about right and wrong. I absolutely love you guys. And we will see you all on the flip side.